Currently, every Australian shares in 6 times more global income than the average Chinese person. The world is changing. The advantages we once had, whether it was science and technology, modern medicine, whether it was the work ethic through the 1800s, the idea of property rights and free markets, it's all now become more of a level playing field. The world is a consumerist culture. Things have become more even. If we look at Niall Ferguson, professor at Harvard, he talks about on an even playing field. It's really the population that makes a difference when it comes to the share in global GDP. By 2028, already it's said that China will overtake the US in global income. By 2059, India will overtake the US as well. Now these are rough estimates, but you get the picture. Things are changing. Things are changing quickly. And how do we, being Australia, participate in these changes? How do we get smart about our place in the world and global share of revenue? Well, there's a couple of options when it comes to being competitive and productive. We need the idea of made by Australia to be strong. Now we can get things made by Australia if we work harder and longer. Instead of 5 days, we do 6 days. Instead of 8 hours, we do 10 hours or 12 hours. The initial 1800s, reason why we got ahead was that we worked very hard, very cheap. But times have changed. We now have unions, we have more worker rights. And so that is probably not the right solution, being working harder, but we can most definitely work smarter. We are in an age of innovation, of technology. If you think about the 1990s, where the internet companies, whether it was Amazon or Google, through to the 2000s, we had Alibaba, these global internet giants, Facebook, that have done revolutionary things in terms of their share of revenue. And we need to be thinking about this. We are ready and nearly coming into what is, if not already, the 4th industrial revolution. We're talking about things like artificial intelligence. We're talking about 5-generation data transfer. We're talking about biotechnology, 3D printing, nanotechnology. We are in the 4th industrial revolution. How do we take advantage of this technology? How do we position ourselves here? Jeremy Rifkin wrote a book. It's called The Third Industrial Revolution. And he talks about things that have already started, whether it's green energy. We already know about solar panels and the ability of them to take the sun. And once they're set up, how efficient they are. That the energy becomes close to no cost. In fact, there are many households or companies actually selling back to the grid and making money off their energy now, as opposed to paying their energy bills. It's the green energy revolution. We have the sharing economy, whether it's Uber or Uber pooling with other people to share cars, flexi cars and pop cars. We've got these ability to share our own infrastructure, the things we already have, our households, through Airbnb. So this is a new kind of realm that we're living in. How do we take advantage of this? How do we make the most of it? It's definitely making us more efficient in our use of things. Autonomous vehicles. Autonomous vehicles are going to change how cars drive. It's going to change the quality of driver. No longer do we have different quality of driver, but we have cars that are streamlined. They go the same speed. They go very fast. You can work while you're inside these cars. You've got no risk of accident, or very low. This is a new world we're entering, a whole new world of efficiency. You've got smart cities, cities that have the Internet of Things. Everything has something to do with some interconnected node that then picks up on data, and you process the data, you draw inferences, whether it's where are people parking. Different times of day, you have different pricing on parking spots. You've got transport, different pricing depending on the times of day, because the city gets smart enough to be able to work out when does it have the most people coming in, make the price go higher, and so the market mechanics works out that people come in at lower times. For example, before 7:15 you can already travel for free in Melbourne on the train system. So this is about portioning people throughout the day in different parts of infrastructure, allows us to get home and to work faster. The 30-minute city, which makes our lives a lot more easy and more quality of life as well. and also more efficient throughout the day. So this is the change. This is what's happening. This is a new world, and innovation ecosystems, centers like Silicon Valley in the US, or in Germany, they're very strong in innovation, or over in Switzerland. And they don't just research and develop. They build inventions. And then they don't just build inventions, they introduce them into the marketplace. And this entrepreneurial spirit, Israel is very well known for their entrepreneurial spirit, where the Asian countries sometimes it's the risk of failure that stops them from introducing it to the market, despite them being very good at research and development. So we need to prosper through building innovative ecosystems where we have the entrepreneurs, we have the venture capitalists with the money, and we have these great talented people coming from our very strong universities and then retaining them here in the country. Now, despite having a small population, we still have come up with some great inventions. We came up with the flight recorder box. We had the ideas that led to the plastic note, whether that is now used in Canada or Britain or Thailand, the plastic dollar note in their own currencies. So we have come up with innovations despite our population being quite small. We have the cochlear ear implant for hearing. We have CSL laboratories and the idea of vaccination. We have these technologies. We have the rights to Wi-Fi. So we have been innovative. The CSIRO has the rights to Wi-Fi, and that has had a lot of revenue come in for that patent. So we can come up with these things. It's just we need to be a culture that's more innovative and more appreciation for innovation. Instead of MasterChef, we're watching the Australian Innovators Show. Not only do we need to be more innovative, but population is a big deal when it comes to global revenue. Immigration's been something that we've talked about, but throughout history, everyone has pretty much immigrated to Australia. And so the idea now that all these skilled, talented individuals would like to come here is a massive advantage for us. They've already had the education overseas or the healthcare overseas when they've grown up, and so on. And that's all expenses paid. Coming here as adults ready to work, and they could add incredibly to our economy. People say that the infrastructure wouldn't be able to hold it. Our way of life might change with new people coming in. Well, that's always been the case. There's going to be a period of change. But we have the Plan Melbourne project that is already expanding the CBD. It's going into North Melbourne, South Bank, Docklands, the inner part of Fisherman Bend. We've got the Werribee precinct now. We're talking about trains going from Sunshine out to the airport. We have got these regional cities, these regional little cities that are building up now and becoming bigger. And as more people come in, our revenues from taxation will go up. We can afford more infrastructure. We could have maybe speed trains and things like that going down the track as our population builds. We are the 6th biggest country, 65th biggest population. So it's not making a lot of sense, and population will be very helpful. We have the Greater Sydney Regional Plan. We're talking about West Sydney having an airport, with the Parramatta region being the second CBD, and then we have Sydney CBD right now, which is already the financial and tech hub of Australia. So the plans are in place. What we now have the ability to do is bring the people and integrate them and make the economy stronger and have an advantage with people power as well. On the debt side of things, which we've spoken about in previous videos, we have a culture of debt. We could become more like the minimalists in the US, but again, that's probably not the more likely scenario. Partly having and living more in your means makes a lot of sense, but more likely the status quo will remain. And right now we have a system of growing debt. We are becoming less internationally competitive because our population is not very big, and we also have the centers of innovation that are probably not doing as well as they could be. At least we need to maintain where they are at the moment. So the status quo is likely to remain, which means lowering interest rates and increasing government spending. And these types of manipulations, as we know, when things don't make a lot of sense, we now have creative new policies, whether it's negative interest rate policies, negative interest rates, or modern monetary theory, these new creative ideas of how to do things. As we know, if things don't make sense, they tend to end not so well. So in the meantime, what we need to be doing is being innovative, coming up with new ideas, selling things that the world needs, selling things that makes the world's life easier, and having skilled new people into the country to help us do that.